to duel or not to duel? That is never the question.
Let's duel! Go, my great beast!
Summon Jinzo!
Range control!
Thousand Dragon!
Dark Magician, attack now!
Yu-Gi-Oh! Saturdays on Kids WB.
One of the major staples of 4Kids TV, it was the card game phenomenon itself, Yu-Gi-Oh! And who didn't see it when it was airing? It was everywhere at the time, and it was something you had to watch. We've talked about One Piece being on 4Kids not too long ago and the wild ride that was, and it was really only a matter of time until Yu-Gi-Oh! Was talked about, and now we're here, and there's a lot to speak on with this. Yu-Gi-Oh!, like everything else that was on 4Kids, was censored to high heaven. The voice acting was pretty questionable, but it was very, very funny. And, of course, we have the glorious Shadow Realm. 4Kids made this shonen spectacle a much different experience than anyone could have imagined if you read the manga for it at the time. But today, we're gonna jump right into the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! On 4Kids. But before we do that, you know you have to hit that sub button. It would be greatly appreciated. Hit that bell notification so you get all notifications of when I upload so that you never miss out on all the heat. But with that out of the way, let's talk about some Yu-Gi-Oh!
Something is shifting at Kids WB.
I think it's coming this way.
For 3 weeks only, your afternoon action is on the move. Did you hear that? Jackie Chan Adventures jumps in first at 3.
Ooh, good one.
Then Pokemon slides into place, followed by a full hour of Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah! Catch the weekday shift beginning this Monday afternoon at 3 right here on Kids WB.
Now we all know by now that the Yu-Gi-Oh! That we got on 4Kids wasn't exactly the Yu-Gi-Oh! That was had everywhere else, and that was by design, of course, given the platform that the show would be airing on. So Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially the manga, was a hell of a lot darker in tone. Created by the late great Kazuki Takahashi, Yu-Gi-Oh! In the manga was a lot more psychological in scope and pretty violent. Damn near horror aspects of the story were present, and it showed people genuinely dying, which we know was something not had in the 4Kids version. It's interesting to see that the source material for this series is so vastly different from what we got, and what we got made an entire generation of kids believe in something that Yu-Gi-Oh! Wasn't. And well, let's unpack that, huh?
For the first time ever on 4Kids TV, see how it all began with the original Yu-Gi-Oh! The original rivals, the original monsters, the original duels. So join the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Adventure from the very beginning, and also catch Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Monsters every weekend only on 4Kids TV on Fox.
The 2000s were popping off on all cylinders with shows that have strong bases and heavy, and I mean heavy merchandising. Two shows that came to mind is Digimon and the one and the only Pokemon. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What do these two things have in common? The fact that they're highly merchandisable. I mean, Pokemon speaks for itself. This was also backed up by Al Khan, the chairman and CEO of 4Kids. He did an interview with Anime News Network in 2005 where he was asked what they look for when licensing animes, and he stated that we look at things such as popularity, but also if it has a merchandising component. Can we license it? Can we license products for it? That's really the main issue for us. The playing pattern. If it's popular and how it merchandises. If we can't merchandise it, it really doesn't have a lot of interest for us. So you can see how Yu-Gi-Oh! Would fall into this category, huh? Yu-Gi-Oh! Lined up perfectly with the ideals that 4Kids were aiming for. Something that can be used mainly to sell merch. You can market the hell out of it and make everyone at the company happy. So on September 29, 2001, 4Kids would debut their soon-to-be smash hit, Yu-Gi-Oh! And that was an invention in itself. 4Kids had a clear and cut plan with Yu-Gi-Oh! To make this money. And with that, they had to do some adjustments to the series. Remember how I said before that there was a psychological angle to Yu-Gi-Oh? How it had horror aspects to it? Basically that whole mature vibe to the series? Yeah, as we know by now, that was non-existent here, and that was by design. See, with 4Kids, this wasn't a mere localization or just dubbing over Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, no. This had to be a full-on rebranding of this series. How else are we gonna secure this money and make the kids happy? We gotta change some stuff up. 4Kids were never known to be accurate when it came to portraying these series. That wasn't what they were in it for. They had to make sure that we as children understood what was going on with no real room for error, so we had to get hit with some changes.
It's Noah. Nice outfit, dork.
And let me tell you, these changes were hilarious. They were back then and even more so now. We all look back at 4Kids fondly for the tomfoolery they used to get into with their favorite shows, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Got hit with some of the most iconic changes in anime. The changes are so memorable that people still reference them to this very day. They couldn't do this whole rebranding of the show without making some readjustments to Yu-Gi-Oh! And we were blessed with censorship galore, which we're definitely about to delve into.
Exclusive Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, only at McDonald's. Now you can get 2 Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards and a radical bonus CD-ROM in every McDonald's Mighty Kids meal. And with 15 cards to collect, you want to play them, trade them, and protect them.
That is the face of a man that as soon as that kid pulls out a rare card, he's diving over that table and just taking that card from him and he's leaving out of there. That is the face of a man plotting. Look at that man's eyes, man. He's out here for blood. A lot of you guys going into this knew this was coming because it would be very disingenuous of me if I didn't dabble into the egregious levels of censorship that was in Yu-Gi-Oh! And there's many places to start, honestly. But let's get the biggest one out of the way, and that is the Shadow Realm.
Joey!
This duel's now a shadow game.
This arguably is the most famous change in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'd say. The Shadow Realm is one of those things that even in real life, if someone got done horrifically, they got sent to the Shadow Realm. That's how much pull the Shadow Realm had in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, for the kids in the back, what is the Shadow Realm? Well, children, I'll elaborate. You see, in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! People used to die for this. These games had people either in serious injury or sent to God. Over cards, by the way. Did I mention these were card games? So a lot of death and destruction were had, but this isn't something that we could show to kids. No. That won't fly. So with the Shadow Realm, when people lose these very high stakes games, they're sent there and it works like prison, but you're just eternally miserable there. You're not dead, you just exist there, and maybe, just maybe, your soul can be retrieved from there. Maybe. Which is strange considering the fact that there were characters that actually did die in the show, like Cecilia or Noah Kaiba, who was supposed to get clapped, but in the 4Kids version, he manages to save his life on a backup file before he gets caught in an explosion. Just took the Lucy route with that one. The Shadow Realm has gone beyond meme status and just became a regular thing that was said amongst people. It was something that as a substitute for death is probably the funniest one to date. There's also the finger guns. There was no way I couldn't bring that one up. In One Piece we had the water guns in place for real guns, but over here on Yu-Gi-Oh! They just removed the entirety of them so it just looks awkward and it just looks like they're just doing their best Yusuke Urameshi impression. Whichever one you're feeling, honestly.
Seto Kaiba, we know you're in there. Open the door, we'll break it down.
Let's go, Kaiba.
On your feet.
Mr. Pegasus would like to have a few words with you.
I bet he would, but it'll take more than you two goons to grab me.
Remember back when goons used to meet a henchman? Now they just describe all of you? Sucks, don't it? They really don't make censorship like they used to, huh? Because even as a kid looking at this, right? Something's gotta be off about these guys pulling up to Kaiba with nothing in their hands, pointing at him menacingly. Something ain't right here. We also have to talk about how funny the dub sounds. Like, this was 1000% a relic from the 2000s, and English dubs have come a very long way, but man, the 4Kids dubbing of this show is hilarious.
Did it!
Hey, you're the man, Joey.
Yeah, you know it.
Coming right at you, man.
Give me some skin, bro.
But I can't let you hurt them, so I'm keeping you trapped in here.
Easy for you to say, mister. My arms are too short to drive.
And anyone who's late for registration will be disqualified. Mokuba, make sure Wheeler's late.
My man Joey Wheeler, besides sounding like a kid from 1980s Brooklyn, always had the funniest lines, bro. And I like how it was a recurring theme to have at least one character sound like they had this heavy Brooklyn accent on the account of 4Kids being located in New York. But Joey was always a blast to listen to because there was never a time he was on screen and it wasn't funny.
Joey, I don't think we should cook the candy bars.
Back off, I know what I'm doing.
This man Joey, bro. The dialogue changes and the delivery of lines really hammered home the fact that they were being extremely serious with this being a lighthearted series. All the extra camp,
With all these rare cards and my skill, there's no way I'll lose.
the memes.
It should have been me.
These all managed to stay the test of time and make people look back at this dub very fondly for all the changes that were made. They were peppering in jokes left and right. They didn't want a single hint of drama to leak out in the script. It was always lampshaded by something funny in proximity to what was going on in the scenes. Same for all of the religious symbols that were present during the show. This of course was back when you couldn't upset those Christian moms with anything that could be related to the devil himself, so all that stuff had to go ASAP Rocky. Speaking of things that had to go, our girl Black,
I beg your pardon?
I mean, Dark Magician Girl is one of those things. They changed Black Magician Girl to Dark Magician Girl, so it could align better with the trading card game. Also, the 4Kids staple, they had to remove those weird things on her chest. Whatever that shit is, it had to get covered up. You can't have the kids looking at whatever those are. I also spoke on it briefly, but we gotta unpack this as well. We gotta talk about that voice acting because this is another big reason why 4Kids Yu-Gi-Oh! Was so memorable.
Don't go away, there's more new Saturday coming up here on Kids WB.
If there's one thing that 4Kids does is hand you some voice acting that you will never forget. That sticks with you to the end of time, man, and this was no different. Dan Green as Yugi? It might just be a hindsight thing, but I honestly couldn't see anyone else playing this character.
Pegasus, I sense that you're watching. Consider this a warning. Nothing you send against me will stop me. And when we finally duel, believe me, victory will be mine. I'll win back my grandfather's soul, and you will pay for all the people you've hurt in the name of your sick little game. I'm coming for you, Pegasus.
It's beautiful.
His performance as both of these characters were really great. Shows the range that he was able to have. To have this stern and very declarative way of speaking when he became Yami Yugi, and showing off how reserved and soft Yugi Moto was, it's a nice contrast that you genuinely felt with his performance. I know I brought him up before, but flowers have to be given to Wayne Grayson as Joey Wheeler. This dude had me dying every time I hear him. Does he sound out of place? Absolutely. Is it funny though? 1000%. Joey's name also comes from that classic 4Kids localization. His original name was Katsuya Janochi, but you see where the problem lies, right? That name isn't gonna fly with the American youth, so Joey Wheeler it is. Now this can be a topic of contention as well, because the Joey we know from the show isn't like what he was from the manga. He was played up a lot more seriously in the manga like everything else, but in the 4Kids version he was relegated to being comedic relief, which worked out because I don't know a single person that hated Joey. And of course, I have to bring up Eric Stewart for providing his voice as Seto Kaiba, one of the greatest shit talkers to ever do it. And the cool thing about Eric Stewart's performance is the fact that when they're originally doing the dub, no one could really match what the team was looking for, and Eric Stewart explains himself what the process was behind that.
But like with Kaiba, it wasn't the voice that they were looking for so much, it was the attitude. When I was directing the show, I was brought on to just, I was not the actor in the show. So we were casting for the role of Kaiba. And I auditioned a lot of my favorite voice actor friends. We went through a lot of different auditions, and the producer who had the final say kept saying, I'm not hearing what I'm looking for, I'm not hearing what I'm looking for. And so finally, I said, I think I can do this. I didn't want to double dip and be like the director and the co-star of the show, but we also had a production time crunch to get the show on the air, and I'm thinking, Kaiba's in the whole first episode, we got to figure this out. And so I said, let me dub half the show, and if you don't like it, we'll start from scratch again, but if we do like it, we'll be halfway to finishing and being on time. And so I did it, and he came in and listened and said, that's exactly what I wanted. And what I knew was, it wasn't this character voice I was doing, it was the personality behind it.
It's interesting to know that they had such an idea for what Kaiba was supposed to embody, and they had to have someone feel very confident in that role and get that confidence across. And well, he manages to stay the test of time because he was able to voice the character years later. Even though these weren't essentially accurate to their source material, everyone could admit that they couldn't forget these characters. I mean, we're still talking about it to this day, and it managed to work on us. And before I forget, do any of you remember when they had a Yu-Gi-Oh! Anti-drug PSA? Well, I have to play it for you now because this was crazy.
I know marijuana is harmful. I know it can't improve my game. My friends and I have faced many battles, and we have always dueled without drugs. I wouldn't be the world's best duelist if I smoked marijuana. It would disappoint my friends and lower my concentration. And losing control with drugs is one duel I don't want to have. I must stay healthy and keep my friends close if I want to defeat my opponent's monsters. I will never dishonor myself or my friends by using drugs. That's playing a game I can't win. Honor my anti-drug.
My man Yugi said if he plays with drugs, that's a game he can't win. A man of laser focus said if I take a hit of that, it's over. Throw the cards away, I'm cooked. It's wild because we really did used to have anti-drug PSAs with our favorite characters across media growing up. This was back when weed was deemed the spawn of Satan and served as the gateway to other crazy drugs, but that was just how the times were 20 plus years ago. It's still a good message overall to send to the youth about not abusing substances and saying no to drugs, but they definitely don't do PSAs like this anymore.
And now a road trip moment with the Yugi Card Sharks.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
Enough! So, seriously, are we there yet?
Stay tuned for more of the road trip on Kids WB.
The music in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like everything else was changed, but I mainly want to talk about the openings. As with the other many changes, the music was another thing that had to be changed up for our consumption, and the most glaring one are the openings. So the Japanese opening of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is really damn good. The song they got for that is hard. Now I'm not taking anything away from this opening, because if you guys actually listen to it, it's a banger, right? But the English opening? Man, as soon as you hear that, your move, you know what time it is. You're over there geeking out, you're sat down, got some cereal or some snacks, and you're locked in. This opening really captured that Saturday morning cartoon vibe that they were obviously going for with this. And they certainly got it, because boy did this get you hyped. It was loud, it was in your face, it was everything that would have gotten us to get up and feel something. Again, these are changes that don't follow up with what it is, but it's something that we don't mind because this is a specific occasion where we can all universally say we love this. But I do still have to give props to the Japanese openings. They had some hitters on there, and would it have been cool to see these openings? Oh, for sure, because this was some good ass music they were hitting us with. They don't get talked about enough, of course, but they had really good opening songs, and I do recommend checking them out. After the video, of course. I still got a bit of time of yapping, so wait on that for a sec. With how the English opening is, it made it feel like you were watching an event unfold on your TV, and you pretty much were. It was game related, we had tournaments, it had the event feel, and the opening really honed that in for us. So while we sacrificed essentially the cooler music, we got some unprecedented hype that helped fill that void we didn't know existed.
You're watching a brand new Yu-Gi-Oh! Special event, Return to Battle City, as new Saturday continues on Kids WB.
Yu-Gi-Oh! During those early to mid 2000s, this series was everywhere, man. You didn't know a person that didn't have some Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards on deck. Everyone was trading them, looking at the cool designs, buying packs. This was life back then. Also, this is our first real introduction to the wonderful world of gambling, spending our last dollars thinking that pack was gonna give us some heat. And if it didn't, we will be back tomorrow. I even had a dual disc growing up that I didn't even take outside. I just had it at home and just put the cards in there and thinking that I was Kaiba saucing people up. It was something that hit the community like crack. All of us were playing the game at school and not one of us knew how to play that damn game because we were following how Yugi was playing, and that motherfucker is a cheater. Man was cheating his way through the whole game. Do you know the amount of times I've played people in Yu-Gi-Oh! And these bastards would sit there and tell me that they could just take their monsters out of the graveyard every time without even using a summon to take them out? I was getting hoed out of games. I lost every single one due to busted knowledge. To this day, I still don't know how to play the game.
You're a disgrace to the game.
It's a good thing none of us ever went to tournaments, man. I don't think Kid Me could take the disappointment of losing to a 35-year-old man at Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I didn't know how to play because I watched the anime and got all the rules from there. But those were the days, though. Just mindless playing for the love of the game. Man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think all the games kids won at Yu-Gi-Oh! Were all fraudulent. I don't think there's a single genuine winner of those games unless you were a child prodigy or some shit. Hell, the majority of us didn't even notice this as heavily censored as it was until we were like teenagers. You look back and it's like, damn, this is the show that we got? It's a whole other vibe in Japan, but again, that's how it was back then. Nowadays, you can choose between the dub or the sub version of Yu-Gi-Oh! But back in the early 2000s, that was literally all we had was the 4Kids version, so it was dub or nothing.
Now you've got the place to duel them. New from the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! Comes Monster Shootout. Put your skills to the test in an all-out battle to become champion dueler.
Take that, Sword Stalker! Yeah!
Which leads me to a question I was thinking about, and I want to know how you guys feel on it. Do you guys think 4Kids helped or hurt Yu-Gi-Oh!'s perception? Because if we look back at certain shows, like say a One Piece, 4Kids version of One Piece cooked the perception of the series for a long time in the West, and then it managed to bring itself back to be a mainstay. But with Yu-Gi-Oh!, do any of you feel that 4Kids hurt it in any way? Because on one hand, you have all the censorship and the changes that were made for our enjoyment, but we lost out on the true stakes of the show. The narrative is entirely different, and it wasn't a representation of Takahashi's vision at all. So objectively speaking, this isn't faithful at all. But the other side of the argument is, if we didn't get the changes that we did to the dub of Yu-Gi-Oh!, would it have been the cultural phenomenon that it was? Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Was mega popular. A lot of people got into anime through Yu-Gi-Oh! So would it have exploded onto the scene the same way without 4Kids involvement is my question to you guys. I'll say that while 4Kids didn't preserve the idea of what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, it surely did help popularize it and make it a household name. And for that, I can't take that away. And I think that's a fair assessment, but I want to know how you guys feel on that one though. Let me know down in the comments. All in all, Yu-Gi-Oh! On 4Kids was a time and a half to have been alive for. For its flaws that it had, it rocked the world, and kids all over the world were tuning in at all times when Yu-Gi-Oh! Was on TV. This time frame was something that had to have been during the 2000s. Of course, trading card games are the biggest they've ever been now, but back when the money we were using was from our parents and we knew we could only get so much out of them as it was, Buying a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards felt like something that we all had to be a part for, especially if the homies were around and they wanted to see what you pulled in that pack. It was a community of us just running around with these cards, not knowing what the hell was going on, but it didn't matter because it was cool. Some very fond memories come from Yu-Gi-Oh, and if you really were about this trading card game life, you had a binder to put your cards into to make sure they were secure. If you grew up with 4Kids Yu-Gi-Oh, you didn't just watch the show, you lived it. And it's something that you look back on fondly and remember how cool it was to be a part of that. But I've rambled long enough. Tell me in the comments what you thought of Yu-Gi-Oh! And 4Kids. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you have a favorite quote from it? Were you ever sent to the Shadow Realm? Let me know, and I'll be seeing you all next time.